Live from the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado, Fox Sports Ohio brings you Cincinnati Reds baseball. Hey, can the Reds win one on the road? It's the Reds against the Colorado Rockies in Game 2 of the 4-game set. Hi, hello, and welcome to Denver, everyone. Along with the crafty left-hander Chris Welch and Jim Day, I'm George Grand. Well, the Reds need a win, and who better to turn it over to than their ace, Johnny Cueto, tonight,
well,
Chris?
Johnny Cueto has been the Red stopper really all year long, and that's what you expect out of a number one guy in the rotation. The last 6 starts he's had have been he's followed up a Reds loss, so that's when you've got to have a start that's going to get you a win, and he has done exactly that. He's run off a record of 5-0, and the earned run average very good. Obviously, the opponent batting average, he is still one of the best pitchers in all this baseball, and hopefully he's going to be able to be the stopper once again tonight.
His manager, Brian Price, knows he's ready to do the heavy lifting.
We couldn't have a better guy to be in this situation to get us, on a good note, go out there and give us a chance to win a ball game. I hate to continue to dump this stuff on Johnny to go out there and do it, but if there's anyone that would take that responsibility and handle it well, it would be Johnny.
Well, the interesting thing and impressive thing about Johnny Cueto is that he does it all with mostly fastballs. He's got 3 different types of fastballs that he uses. That is a 2-seam fastball, lots of movement, lots of sink. He also uses a cutter that is about 90 miles an hour. It moves away from right-handers, down and into left-handers. And, of course, when he's got that need for that second gear, he rears back and fires it in there at 95 miles an hour. He has really learned the true art of pitching, locating his fastball, changing speeds with that fastball, and giving hitters really all around this league a whole different look when it comes to trying to negotiate that Johnny Cueto fastball. Meanwhile, Matt Belisle is a reliever, turned into starter tonight. You remember him. He's been around a long, long time. He was traded from the Atlanta Braves to the Reds for Kent Merker. That was a long time ago, folks. He's going to get his first start in a long, long time here this evening. We just don't know how long Matt's going to pitch in this ballgame.
So it's the former Red going against his former team. Matt Belisle's been a fixture here in Colorado. Coming up next, can the Reds come up with a Rocky Mountain W? Next on Fox Sports Ohio.
Dealer. Ford, go further. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. The Reds hope there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow over Coors Field here in Denver. Looking for a victory over the Rockies. Reds and Rockies coming up on Fox Sports Ohio. I'm Jim Day. Todd Frazier tweaked a back last night in a second at-bat. He is not in the lineup. And with Brian Pena being the personal catcher for Johnny Cueto, Mesoraco is not in the lineup. So they need some power from other sources, and they hope they get it again from Ryan Ludwig, and he certainly supplied it last night. 3 for 4 last night. Started it off with an RBI double. Hit a towering, and I mean towering, home run to left field later in the game. Overall, 3 for 4. 2 RBI, 2 runs scored for number 48, and historically, he loves to hit here. In fact, it's our IGS Bringing the Energy feature. Career Coors Field, 398 average, 10 long balls, 27 runs driven in. That's the highest of any active player, minimum 75 at-bats. The Reds hope he is bringing the energy again tonight. Coming up, 3 is enough. As an L's. How about a W? Cueto on the hill for Cincinnati. George and Chris are next on Fox Sports Ohio.
Colorado, afternoon rain again for the second straight day. In fact, a lightning show with thunderstorms prevented the teams from taking batting practice. It's cleared up, but there's still some clouds and a chance of showers for tonight. We're ready to play some baseball. Brian Price and his ball club hoping to get kick-started for this one and finally win on the road. They've lost 15 of their last 20 here. Here's his Myers starting lineup. Billy Hamilton will lead it off. Christopher Negron will bat second. He'll be at second base. Jay Bruce will hit third. Ryan Ludwig, after 3 for 4 last night. Hits in the cleanup spot. Brian Pena, the switch hitting catcher, will catch Cueto. Jack Hanahan will get the start at first. Frazier's out after tweaking his back on a swing last night. Ramon Santiago's at third. Cozart's at short. And Cueto, the pitcher, bats in the number 9 position. Hamilton trying to get closer to 300 on the road and get his average back closer to 270 overall. Billy Hamilton leading it off. That's your Myers starting lineup. And here is a former Red. First of all, Chris, his numbers with the Reds. From 2003 to 2008, he was a starter, reliever, and everything.
Yeah, he really was. He got most of his starts, obviously, as a Red, a former number 2 draft pick by the Atlanta Braves. And that was back in 1998. For Matt Belisle, he has etched himself out a very fine major league career. Now 34 years old, Matthew Thomas Belisle, and got traded over from the Atlanta Braves to the Reds in exchange for Kent Mercker. Came over here as a free agent, and he has been a really big part of their bullpen for a long, long time. In fact, he led the league in appearances by a reliever at 80 games just a couple of years ago. So Belisle's a workhorse, and here he is, Johnny on the spot, getting a call as a starter tonight.
He is starting because Franklin Morales was scheduled to start. His wife went into labor. They're having a child today. He's at the hospital with her now, and from the last we heard, the baby has not arrived as yet. In fact, Walt Weiss didn't hear about it until he was driving to the ballpark today. So Belisle gets the call. Belisle got up and loosened last night, but never did get into the game. And Chris, we talked about it yesterday when the series started. The key is to get into the Rockies bullpen early. Well, we're getting into it early tonight.
Doesn't get much earlier than this. Although all of a sudden that bullpen's been pretty good. First 2 pitches are strikes.
So Hamilton, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Billy in at 263, 6 homers, 43 knocked in. Last night was 1 for 4 with a base hit to center, and he bangs this one into center for a base hit. Now let's see if the Reds get the running game going. They did not last night. You expected them to, but they didn't.
Well, hard to tell here with Matt Belisle because the numbers on relievers as far as giving up stolen bases and so on are not nearly as dependable to go on as starting pitchers. There's just not enough sample size. But you've been able to run a little bit on the Rockies overall this year. You mentioned Rosario, their catcher, not one of the best in the league at throwing runners out. So I'd imagine that early on, based on the fact they only scored a couple of runs last night, you're going to try to push them as much as you possibly can.
Billy with 44 stolen bases off first. He bluffs going. The pitch to the number 2 hitter, Kris Negron, is a strike. Negron at 246, 3 homers, 9 knocked in. Last night an 0 for 3 evening. 2 ground outs and a strikeout. Belisle to the stretch. He has used the slide step now that he's been a reliever almost full time here in Colorado. He was with the Reds from 2003 through 2008. And since 2009 through 2014 has been a member of this Rockies bullpen. Strike 1 to the Reds' third baseman. A little bigger lead for Hamilton not going. Showing bunt, dumps it down the third baseline. Belisle grabs it onto first, but not in time. And a good job by Negron getting the runner to second and getting on with a base hit. So back-to-back hits for the Reds, and things are off and rolling for Cincinnati in the first.
How about Christopher Negron? Now, Negron is no burner the way that Billy Hamilton is, but still he gets down the line very quickly. And for a guy that at one time had a major knee injury that they weren't sure whether he was going to be able to come back and play at any high level at all, he gets down the line lickety-split. The Reds have the first 2 guys on.
And here's Jay Bruce. Bruce coming to the plate. In his game last night, he was 0 for 4. But he hit 2 balls right on the button, a line drive to left and a line drive to center, but nothing to show for it. Came back yesterday after missing a game with flu-like symptoms. Tough to keep him out of the lineup, just as it's tough to keep JD out of our lineup. He was under the weather yesterday. Great to have JD back with us here tonight. So Belisle ahead again with strike 1 to Bruce. Jay, 12 homers, 46 knocked in. Infield double play depth, middle of the infield. Culberson right behind Hamilton at second, trying to keep him as close as they can to the bag. Big swing, and it's 0-2. Reds have struggled here. They've lost 15 of their last 20 here, and overall the Rockies are 52-33 against Cincinnati here but it's turnaround time because the Reds are 52-35 against Colorado at Great American Ballpark. Ryan Price trying to get his club untracked and get some energy on the field and in the standings. Nubbed foul. He had a brief meeting yesterday. Neither team took batting practice yesterday or today on the field, and he gathered them together when the clubhouse was closed, just to not to give him a Gipper talk, but just to say, look, it's in your hands. We can go either way right now.
Well, and looking at the schedule, going either way, you better get going right now because you're playing a team that is among the worst in all of baseball with the Rockies. And you got to figure that going ahead when you got St. Louis and then Atlanta and then Baltimore beyond that, it doesn't get any easier.
Dribble to short. Culberson will flip it to first. They'll get Bruce by a half a step. But the runners advance to second and third, so the Reds have two in scoring position for the red-hot Ryan Ludwig. Let's check your forward defensive alignment for this Rockies team. They are 13th in the league in defense. They've made 81 errors. Dickerson, Stubbs, and Blackman in the outfield. Gonzalez is out for the year with a knee injury. In the infield, Arenado, Gold Glove at third. Culberson's in for Tulowitzki, who's out for the year with a hip injury. DJ LeMahieu, outstanding defensively at second, and Justin Morneau has had a brilliant bounce-back year at first base.
It's like the battle of the disabled list for these two teams.
Man, and these two managers have had their share to deal with. Weiss in his second year, Price in his first year. Here's Ryan, 3 for 4 last night, and the one ball that he popped up on, he thought that was the best pitch he had to hit. Hit it a mile in the air. For the Reds last night, he doubled in a run in the second to make it 1-0. He popped up to short in the fourth, homered in the fifth, and then singled it in the ninth. In his career, nearly 400 against the Rockies here in Colorado. The homer last night was his 12th career against Colorado and his 10th here. It was a good swing, Chris.
Well, it was. It was a splitter that didn't split very much, except maybe the center of the plate, and Ludwig got that ball just a hair above his waistline and lined it out of here. That ball was really soft.
Take the yardstick out. 411-foot homer for Culbertson last night, and a 450-foot home run for Ryan Ludwig.
Boy, Belisle quickly 0-2 on just about everybody.
Will rock it, but caught by the second baseman LeMahieu. He hit it right on the button, but the second baseman was playing in the ideal spot.
It's a good swing by Ludwig right there, really staying inside the ball and letting that ball get deep on him. A hanging breaking ball that, well, you can't hit it any harder than that. The Reds need a little bit of clutch hitting right here, or else they're going to waste a golden opportunity in the very beginning of this ball game to kind of set the tone.
From the stretch with runners at second and third, here's Brian Pena, and again a first pitch strike from Matt Belisle.
I mean, not afraid at all of throwing a first pitch fastball for a strike. I mean, Belisle's not a guy that's going to dial it up into the mid-90s anymore. His fastball is anywhere from 90 to 92. Not a lot of movement, but there must be some deception because we've seen some hitters late on it already.
Pena, the switch hitter, 272, 5 homers, 27 knocked in. 0 for 2 in his career against Belisle.
He does not throw a lot of changeups. It's mainly fastball, slider, and occasional curveball for Belisle.
Nubbed foul, and again it's an 0-2 count. Base hit by Billy Hamilton, bunt hit by Negron, gave the Reds 2 on, nobody out. They've gotten him into scoring position, but just like it's been during this difficult offensive scheme, the Reds have difficulty getting him on, getting him over, no, but getting him in, yes. 0-2. And he got him. Well, how about Belisle? He gives up 2 straight hits, but strands runners at second and third. The Reds come up dry in the first. To the mound, Johnny Cueto. Going to the bottom of inning number 1. Walt Weiss, second year of managing this Colorado Rockies club. Veteran shortstop and a brilliant defender in his career. Here's the lineup that he'll send out with Charlie Blackmon, who's had an outstanding offensive year leading off. Drew Stubbs bats second. The former Red had a couple of hits last night and an earned batted in. Justin Morneau has been a league leader in hitting all year. He comes in at .323. Arenado hits behind him. Corey Dickerson against the Reds. He has killed the Reds along with Blackmon this year. .462 and a couple of homers against the Reds this year. Willeen Rosario, the catcher. Charlie Culbertson, who had the big home run last night. DJ LeMahieu and Matt Belisle. That's 1 through 9. Your Rockies Myers starting lineup, and here's Johnny.
Johnny looking to take over the major league lead and wins with 15 with a win tonight. 14-6, great earned run average. Just about every other number he has is awesome too.
Knocked down by Hanahan. Can they make the play? No, he'll be safe. He flagged it down. That prevented a double, but couldn't hold on for the line drive out.
I'm not so sure he flagged it down as much as that ball found him. That ball is absolutely rocketed down there, and you have no time at all to react. I mean, it's probably, you're ready, but the first pitch of the game to have a ball coming at you, that had to be 110 miles an hour coming down there to first base.
So Blackmon gets a base hit. He's on, nobody out. Last night he had a 1-for-4 evening, and here's Stubbs. Drew had 2 hits in his first career run batted in against his former team, the Reds.
And he broke an 0-for-16 streak that went 5 games with those 2 hits that he had last night.
Blackmon has 21 stolen bases, so you can't forget about him down at first.
Well, if he has a stolen base tonight, he'll earn it.
Yep.
Because Johnny Cueto is the best I've ever seen as far as a right-handed pitcher in shutting down the running game. Quick feet, compact move to first, always aware. But that's a big lead Blackmon's got. He's almost daring Cueto.
Popped up the elevator shaft. Here comes Santiago calling everybody off, and he'll squeeze it.
Well, if you were early enough in turning your television on to our broadcast tonight, you saw an amazing graphic that Josh Hall, our producer, came up with, and it just goes to show you how Johnny Cueto has stepped into the role of not just being the ace of the staff, but being the stopper. A stopper is a guy that stops losing streaks. And 6 times now, in the last 6 starts, he has come after a Reds loss, and he's gone 5-0, earned run average great, struck out a ton of hitters, and he has taken this team right on top of his back and essentially guided them to a victory.
Bounce behind the bag. They'll tap second for one on to first, and that'll take care of the inning. So a leadoff base hit, but then the Reds snuff it out. Cueto gets out of the first. When we come back, he'll be up 4th. Time moment later in today's broadcast. Stay with us. Ready to go to the second. Jack Hanahan will lead it off. Ramon Santiago, and then Zach Cozart will follow. How about this for numbers, Chris?
You talk about impressive. Look at the bottom line right here. He threw 15 strikes and 1 ball in the entire inning. He gave up base hits to the first 2 and then got out of the jam like there was nothing. And he just came right after the Reds hitters, figuring, hey, I'm a reliever. I may not be around here very long. I'm going to get my pitch count up, but the only way a reliever can qualify for a win is as a starter, you go 5 innings. So he's got to be very pitch efficient. And that means throwing lots of strikes.
That's fair. And Hanahan will be retired on the bouncer down to first base, gloved by Morneau.
I mean, what Matt Belisle is doing, a youth league or a high school coach couldn't explain any better. The value of coming right after those hitters. I mean, he's showing you how important it is to get ahead 0-1.
And here's Ramon Santiago with 1 out in the second. And Chris, you and I had a chance to get to know Matt a lot when he was in Cincinnati. What a likable young man. He worked very hard. Struggled at times on the mound. And in fact, one of the games he started in, you and I, it's one of our most memorable games in Reds history, the games that we've done over the last 22 years. That was the 18-inning marathon in San Diego.
The Aaron Harang game.
The Aaron Harang game. Getaway day that we just couldn't get away. He started that game, went 4 2/3 innings, gave up.
It was his fault.
Yeah. Well, not really. He was, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pitchers that day. Remember this? For those of you that are Reds fans. And the one that really you question, that was the 12-9 game that the Reds lost in 18. Aaron Harang came up. He was in sneakers, and he came and volunteered. He said, "I'll pitch." And Dusty Baker said, "Are you sure?" He said, "Yeah." The one that really surprised you, if you look at that list, was Josh Fogg. You know, we expected him to be the long man, and after Cordero blew the game in the 9th inning, Coco blew it, you expected Fogg to be in there for 5 or 6 innings. He was in 2/3 of an inning, and we knew we were in trouble at that point. Morneau backhands it over his Belial, and there's 2 away. Well, what a year Morneau has had. He's provided leadership on this ball club, and you know about the offensive numbers he gives you. The Reds have had one of the most difficult injury seasons of any major league team, but the Rockies are right alongside of them. You know about Tulowitzki, you know about Gonzalez, 2 of the best players in all of baseball. But in addition, I mean, Arenado was on the disabled list for 30 some odd games. They do hope to get Kadire back tomorrow. He's finished his rehab at AAA. And he's one of the league's leading hitters. He's a batting champion, and he's a leader in the clubhouse. Every time you turn around, those are just the position players, and pitching has been like a mash unit. At one point, they started 3 rookies in 1 week. Here's Cozart. Zach last night had a couple of hits. Now at 228 with 3 homers. 1 ball and 1 strike with Cueto on deck. Johnny goes for the Reds today against Belial. And tomorrow the Reds, with Homer Bailey's spot due up, will start Dylan Axelrod, just called up from AAA Louisville, against Jordan Lyles. Loop to right center. Who's going to get there? Stubbs covers a lot of ground, and he puts that in his pocket. 1, 2, 3 go the Reds. Cueto back to the mound. Arenado due up. Cincinnati Reds #1 in the league with only 56 errors. Ludwig in left, Hamilton in center, Bruce in right. Santiago's at third. Frazier's out with a gimpy back tonight. Cozart, Negron, your double play combo. And Jack Hanahan at first, and Brian Peña's thrown out 36% of the runners who've tried to steal behind the plate, the forward defensive alignment. Here's Johnny facing Nolan Arenado, hitting in the cleanup spot tonight. Corey Dickerson and Willeen Rosario will follow. Fastball misses inside, 1-1. Arenado a 1 for 4 night last night. A brilliant defender and a solid offensive player as well. He comes in at 285. Down the left field line, hit it pretty good. That's going to be gone. That's his 12th homer, 2 more than he hit a year ago. And the Rockies lead at 1-0.
Now that young man is legit. There's no question about that. They're just wondering what he could do if he had the other superstar hitters healthy in that lineup. Looks like Johnny just threw a fastball and just got that ball up, out over the plate, and Arenado, batting in the #4 slot, hits it like a cleanup hitter.
So the Rockies will lead the league in home runs. No surprise. As usual, they're #1 in average, #1 in homers. That's their 136th home run. The Reds are 6th in the league with only 99 round trippers on the year. And they take a 1-0 lead. Here's Dickerson. 9-game hitting streak for Dickerson. Last night a double and scored a run in the second, and a sacrifice fly tied the game at 2 in the third in 4 at bats. And Pena needs a little bit of a breather.
Yeah, he's looking over to the dugout saying, I'm fine, I'm fine. I wonder if maybe his leg cramped up. That's the one thing that they were worried about with him catching. He's had a little bit of a leg problem. I wonder if maybe he got a little cramp in it. I mean, he has been essentially the personal catcher for Johnny Cueto. Devin Mizorako has caught him a couple of times, once early in the season, once just a few starts ago. And Tucker Barnhart has also come in and caught Johnny Cueto for one game. But it's mainly these two guys.
1 ball, 1 strike. That's up high, 2-1. Dickerson at 323. He has not qualified in the batting race yet. If he plays on a regular basis, and he probably will for the remainder of the year, he will have enough at bats to qualify. Santiago on the warning track, got it, 1 away. And here's Rosario. Rosario had a 2-hit night last night, a double that knocked in a run and a single. When you go around the 8 position players that you field and you look at the history of the Colorado Rockies, I mean, they'll honor Todd Helton this weekend as a hard hopper down to short. Cozart in the, it looked like he threw a slider almost in the dirt, but picked off his shoe tops by Hanahan. There's 2 away. But the one area, Chris, where you have never really had a long-term impact player was at catcher for the Colorado Rockies. Every other position they've had some pretty impressive players. When they had their best years, Joe Girardi was brilliant behind the plate for them here. Here's Charlie Culbertson. He had the big swing last night, a 3-run homer. He was 2 for 4. The homer is 3rd of the year, over 400 feet to left.
You can say that really for a lot of teams, can't you, George? I mean, that catcher spot is one of those. It is an elusive position to find a superstar player that comes in and plays 10 years for you and puts up the kind of numbers that you hope that, you know, a guy like Larry Walker would put up, for instance. And that's just a difficult position. Difficult to stay healthy, difficult to ascend to the top of your game as a catcher.
And difficult here. I mean, now, you know, with the humidor, it's changed a little bit. The game's a fairer game, but I remember talking to Mike Piazza when he was heading into free agency year, asking him, boy, as an offensive catcher, this would be the place you'd think he'd want to go. And he said, no way. How long do those games go? I got to catch those games.
Right.
Soft fly ball into left. Ludwig there, he'll squeeze it. After the homer by Arenado, it's a 1-2-3. Rockies lead at 1-0. Cueto due up first.
Here on Fox Sports Ohio. I'm Jim Day with Homer Bailey to the disabled list. The Reds will call on another pitcher from AAA, and he'll make his Reds debut. It's Dylan Axelrod. Back in mid-July, they made a trade for cash just in case they needed a spot start, exactly what they need tomorrow. Axelrod, last 2 starts, you see the numbers very good. In fact, he was the International League Pitcher of the Week in 5 starts with Louisville since coming over in the trade. 2-1 record with a 3.06 ERA as Cueto bounces one in for a hit. Talking to Brian Price before the game, 1, they like his major league experience. 2, it's his day to pitch, and some of the young players, a la Robert Stevenson and Jared Lorenzen, or not Jared Lorenzen, I'm sorry. Lorenzen are not ready to come up yet. They have not been pitching well, so they will rest their hopes on Dylan Axelrod, the 29-year-old, tomorrow.
Thanks, JD. Great to see him. He's excited to be with the Reds. He was in the clubhouse today, just arrived. They will activate him in time for tomorrow's ball game. You never know. I mean, you talk about, and the Reds have been very fortunate for most of the year, health-wise, with their pitching staff, but you get to the end of a year, you usually need 7 or 8 starting pitchers, and hopefully you can call on them from AAA. This year, it's been more challenging. Tony Cingrani was the guy that you'd figure you'd have down there ready to go, but he's been sidetracked with his physical problems and might be ready for September, but not ready for now. 1 ball to Hamilton, who shows bunt. Now he takes ball 2. Cueto's base hit puts a runner at first. And Billy singled to center his first time up for the second time. You don't expect Belisle to go more than 3. And they've already gotten someone up starting to loosen in the bullpen for the Rockies. It's a bullpen night. Not often it happens. The Reds have done it a few times, and without an emergency starter. The idea is to try to get it pieced together innings by innings, and this is going to be a piece by piece night with former Reds. Belisle first, Nick Massett loosening in the bullpen now, another former Red. That's a bouncer through into center field. Cueto will turn but hold at second. So Hamilton's 2 for 2. The Reds have 2 on again to start the inning the same way they did in the first. Do you bunt with Negron?
Well, Billy Hamilton got a base hit on a breaking ball the first time up on a 1-2 count, and this time he is able to negotiate a fastball right back through the box. Once this ball gets by Belisle, it's going to be a base hit with the overspin. And so just like the first inning, the Reds have reached the first 2 with nobody out.
Now they'll keep the middle of the infield double play depth. Arenado even with the bag at third. Negron reached on a bunt hit in the first.
I don't think that he's going to bunt here. If he does, he'll bunt on his own for a base hit.
If you do, you want to get it down to third and force the third baseman to make the play.
What do I know?
Shows bunt, gets it down. It's a good one. Belisle off. The throw to first will be in time. Good job by Negron, a sacrifice, and there's runners at second and third with 1 out for the second time in 3 innings for the Reds.
Excellent bunt right there, because they were unsure, I think, that whether the third baseman was going to have to field that or whether Matt Belisle would be able to get all the way over to the third base line. Boy, he just lays that down perfectly, and as it stands, that's a nice play by the Rockies pitcher to get him at first base.
Well, I tell you, Chris, everything we've watched Kris Negron do, he's been solid in every facet of the game since he's come up. So now let's see if Jay Bruce can get it done.
Johnny's glad he's been doing all that running, stadium steps and sprints and so on in between starts, because he's huffing and puffing down there.
Steve Smith in the third base coach's box. Billy Hatcher down at first for the Reds tonight. Bruce bounced to short in the first. Fastball in on the hands, fouled off for strike 1.
Yeah, the second time really that Belisle's been able to elevate the fastball and essentially throw it right by Jay Bruce. Now you look at the radar gun, you're thinking, well, he's not throwing all that hard, but he's got a very quick arm. It comes out of his hand nice. That was actually a cut fastball that stayed up in the zone, and looks like that's what they're going to try to do to Jay, is jam him and keep it up right underneath those hands.
Cueto at third, great speed at second in Hamilton. Base hit should easily score 2. Missing down and in. Your home plate umpire is Quinn Woolcutt. Rookie umpire Dale Scott, the veteran, and the crew chief is at first. Ben May, another first-year umpire, is at second, and CB Buckner, who had the plate last night, is over at third. Bounced over the bag at second. That'll get 1 run in. They'll get an out, but the Reds tie the game at 1.
Well, Jay Bruce gets the job done with a little grounder up the middle, but with a man on third base, even if it is a pitcher, they're giving him the run, and here it is. Our Mazda pitch by pitch. They're trying to pitch him up at the first pitch, and then a cutter down and in the next time, and this ball floats out over the plate. Hammed into the ground by Jay Bruce, but because it did not go back to the pitcher, Johnny Cueto comes in to score, and it's a 1-1 game. Our Mazda pitch by pitch.
So run batted in for Jay is 47th of the season, and here's Ludwig. He hit a bullet right at the second baseman, DJ LeMahieu, for a line drive out in the first. In his career coming in, he's 4 for 11 and 2 home runs against Belisle.
Yeah, he has seen Belisle more than any other Reds hitter on this ball club, mainly because of his year in San Diego. I'll take no chances with Billy Hamilton down there at third base. He's pitching out of the stretch, as he normally does anyway. But, I mean, you're thinking, hey, somebody takes a big, long wind-up and so on, would you think about stealing home? Not so with Belisle.
Billy changes the game every time he steps on the field. 1 ball, 1 strike. That's a strike. Brian Pena on deck for the Reds. Missing inside. And we're even at 2-2. Johnny got it started with a base hit. His run has tied it. Like that batting helmet. Makes him feel like a hitter, huh? Breaking ball misses, and we'll go full 3-2. We've seen it in his career, Chris, not just with the Reds, but every place he's been. When Ludwig gets hot, he can carry a club, and Brian Price is hoping that's a sign of where he is right now. They need a spark. Three-two. This will be the 43rd pitch for Belisle. You figure that might be the ceiling of where he would go this inning.
Well, he's still throwing the ball well.
Massive loosening as if he may be on his way in next inning.
Reds have gotten 4 hits off of him. Other than that line drive that Ludwig hit, Johnny Cueto's hit the ball the hardest.
3-2, 2 outs. Spoiled another pretty good pitch. Whether you're a starter or reliever, those strike to walk ratios, that's pretty good numbers. 30.
I mean, they have the first inning where you throw 15 strikes and 1 ball. That is getting off to the right start there. Huh. Hitter steps out, and the pitcher steps off the rubber. And the hitter steps out, and the pitcher steps off the rubber.
Pop foul, it'll reach the seats, be out of play. And when you're down to basically 2 pitches that Belisle uses, when you shake off, you know it's going to be a fastball.
No, you're right. I mean, it's mostly a fastball. So mostly 4 seamers. He'll throw, less than 10% 2 seamers, which are sinkers. He throws a lot of sliders. They work in an occasional curveball.
Tried about everything. Might he use that here?
He realizes, though, he doesn't want to let that run in, because if he does, he could be on the hook for the L.
3-2 again with 2 away. There's ball 4. So the Reds have first and third, and here comes Pena. And don't forget, now it's time for you to tweet your photo using hashtag #OhioFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T.
Well, it looks like Walt Weiss is going to come out and take him out of the ball game. I mean, this is, if you're in favor of pitch counts, this is your dream game to watch.
Hasn't made the sign yet. Massett standing on the mound, still throwing.
Yeah, at least he let Matt Belisle voice an opinion as to whether he's going to be strong enough to stay in the game. Belisle wants to stay in the game.
You might figure he maybe told him this is your final batter one way or another.
Some things pitchers don't have to be told. But with Hanahan on deck, Not like the Rockies are warming up a left-hander just to get out of the inning.
Well, here's Brian. Pena struck out on a breaking ball to end the first. First and third for the Reds in a one-run ball game here in the third inning. Breaking ball, misses the outside corner for ball one.
One of the rare sliders, or changeups that is, that you'll ever see Matt Belisle throw.
Hamilton off third, Ludwig off first. Swing, Hamilton wasn't sure he fouled it off, heading to the plate, but it was a foul ball, so it's 1-1.
Kind of an interesting story on Matt Belisle. When he was drafted in 1998, he came out of McCallum High School in Austin, Texas, and he was projected to be a #1 round pick. But he hurt his knee and it had required surgery, and he let everybody know, I still want first round money, and that dropped him to the second round. The Braves still took him, and they paid him a first round money bonus. And the Braves were so pitching rich back in those days that they thought that they could trade Matt Belisle, which they did in exchange for Kent Mercker. That happened back in 2003. For me, I'll always remember the great relationship that Matt Belisle had with the then pitching coach and bullpen coach Tommy Hume.
Tommy Hume, you're right. They were so close. In the air to right, but it's catchable. Blackman there, and the Reds will strand a pair. They get a run after a leadoff base hit by Johnny Cueto. So Belisle does his job. Cueto's back to the mound to continue to do his. Elk Serious Lawyers for serious injuries. Dial 1-800-ELK-OHIO. How good has Johnny been? And win leaders in Major League Baseball. 14 victories. Kershaw, Peralta, Scherzer, Wainwright all have 14. And Kris, you're on that list. You're in pretty rarefied air.
Well, you're one of those pitchers that other pitchers want to be on with. And, of course, the wins and losses are one thing that a lot of times the wins, especially the starting pitchers, cannot control because of the run support and errors behind them and so on. But, boy, I'll take that. I'll take those 5 pitchers in a rotation anytime. Cueto, Kershaw, Peralta, Max Scherzer, and Adam Wainwright. Lofty company.
And of those 25 starts, 22 of them have been quality starts. Amazing. Here's DJ LeMahieu, the second baseman, hitting 8th. The pitcher spot due up next. And right now, Matt Belisle still standing in the on-deck circle. You saw by that list that Johnny is tied for wins. A win tonight would move him into sole possession of victories. But he's also #1 in innings pitched, tied for that. #1 in opponent's batting average. That's how good a year he's had. And he's #2 in ERA, #2 in complete games, #2 in strikeouts.
Now no longer under the radar.
Yep. Big swing by DJ LeMahieu, fouled off, and it's 2-2. On the inside corner, snuck it under the hands, and that's strikeout #1 for Johnny.
Now right on the inside corner, that's a cutter right there that LeMahieu thinks is going to come inside off the plate, and it just kind of hugs that inside corner, and that's the beauty of that spot. Boy, if you can throw it right there, you got a lot of looks.
So here's Belisle with 1 out, up for the first time. Could be one of 2 things, Kris. Either Belisle talked himself into another inning, or Wallweiss just doesn't want to use all his pinch hitters for each pitcher each time.
Or he may have told Matt Belisle, you give us 3 innings of 1 run or less, I'll let you bat. That's good incentive.
Mm-hmm. A rare at bat for number 34.
First of the year.
Nub to short. Cozart has it. Lyle's retired. There's 2 away. They draft players from every Reds game this season with MLB.com's head-to-head challenge app. You and your opponent each select 4 different players, and the person with the most points at the end of each game wins. Head-to-head challenge is free to play, so download it today. Back to the top of the order, Charlie Blackmon will hit a blistering line drive off the glove of Jack Hanahan at first in the first inning for a base hit. Blackmon, now 28 years of age, has paid his dues 6 years in the minor leagues. This one line to center. In comes Hamilton. Won't get there in time. It's a base hit for Blackmon.
This guy has a knack for getting base hits against the Reds. I'm not so sure what it is for Charlie Blackmon. He had one last night, had a couple of strikeouts too, but that's his second hit in as many plate appearances tonight.
So Blackmon with 2 outs might be off and running here with Stubbs at the plate. Here's Drew, popped to third, first time up. Steps out, takes a look at his third base coach. Stu Cole rolls through some signs. Cole, veteran, 19 years in the Colorado organization in the minor leagues, up at the major league level, and down at first next to Blackmon there's Cole at third. EY senior, Eric Young senior. A joy to be around. Boy, one of the most positive baseball people you'll ever see. Pretty good player too. Ooh. Hanahan almost got him with the swipe tag. Might have.
If he touched him, he was out.
Yep.
He certainly looked like he got the tag down in time.
Breaking ball, swing and a miss, 0-2. Runner not going, the pitch up high. Stubbs has had a real bounce back year. He comes in at 292, 11 homers, 32 knocked in. He always plays brilliant defense. Always susceptible to the strikeout. He's approaching 100 for the year at 98 right now. But a park like this made for him with his great speed. Well, Blackmon knows he's in a battle, huh?
It looks like he's enjoying it, doesn't it?
Yep. He's going. Pitches inside, and it's a stolen base. Number 22 for Blackmon. Chris, you often talk about going on first move against a left-hander. You almost had the feeling that after he threw over there 3 times, Blackmon was going on first move by Cueto.
I think you're right, and that's why he was so close getting back to the bag, because he was anticipating, going on maybe the second one or the third one. So you're a pretty good base stealer if you get one off Cueto.
3-2 to Drew Stubbs.
Why do umpires allow that to happen?
Yep.
And I know Drew Stubbs probably called it while Johnny Cueto was at the set looking in there. But here's the tip for Cueto. You know, as soon as you see the hitter's lips move, that's when you throw the ball, because that will not allow enough time for the umpire to hear him, call timeout, and already the hitter's essentially mentally out of the at-bat. So there's your tip of the night on a quick pitch.
Popped up right side. Hanahan back. Gives way to the second baseman, Negron, who gloves it and tumbles. And the final out of the inning. So the Rockies will strand a runner after the base hit by Blackman. We're still tied at 1.
Star Pen campaign, which honors the families of fallen service members. To learn more, visit goldstarpens.org. I'm Jim Day. A big day for some Reds rehabbing tonight. Brandon Phillips started his rehab assignment in Louisville, as did Logan Ondrusek, who started the game and went 1 inning, gave up a couple of hits, but did not give up a run. As for Brandon Phillips, first time up was a ground out to second. He took a 4-pitch walk his second time up, and then lined out his third time up. He was taken out in the 8th inning of this game. He did make an error in the game, but according to reports, made some other very, very impressive plays in the field. So we know Brandon, he's lobbying to be activated on Monday. I am sure it is not going to be about the numbers. It's going to be about how that thumb feels. Is his timing okay? And as for Ondrusek, if he comes through okay tomorrow, expect him to be activated back on the big club next couple of days. George?
So some good news finally. Thanks, JD. And good news to have you off the DL, too. Great to have you back. How you feeling tonight, buddy?
I'm hanging in there, man. Hanging in there.
He plays tough, doesn't he, Chris?
Nothing keeps him down.
A major leaguer. Just a baseball guy. Here's Nick Massett, the new pitcher, as the parade of former Reds continues. Belisle went 3 innings, 4 hits and a run, 1 strikeout, pitched outstandingly. Here's Massett, the former Red. Comes in with a 1-0 record and an ERA of over 6. Was with the Reds from 2008 through 2011. And there was a point, Chris, where he didn't know and the Reds didn't know if he'd ever pitch again.
Oh, you're right. And it wasn't an elbow injury. It was a shoulder injury for Massett. And those are always a little bit trickier. When you have surgery and it takes you a long time to come back, it seemed like every time he started to make a couple of steps forward, he'd have a little bit of a setback. He worked very hard at getting healthy again, and I'll tell you, you know, he's one of these guys that spent a lot of time in the training room, a lot of time working with therapists and trainers and conditioning experts trying to get back on the major league field. Massett, if I remember, came over in the deal from the Chicago White Sox that included Ken Griffey Jr.
Ken Griffey in 2008. 2-2. Hit pretty good towards the alley. It's going to drop for a hit. 2 hops to the warning track. Jack Hanahan, with his first hit of the season, pulls up at second with a double.
Boy, that is a load off the shoulders of Jack Hanahan, I can tell you that. The first hit of the year for Hanahan, who of course started on the disabled list nearly an entire season. Had labrum surgery in the offseason. He gets the ball up out over the plate against Nick Massett. And there's a well-stroked double to right center field.
So the Reds have a runner in scoring position to lead off the 4th. First double, first hit of the season for Jack. What a road back it's been for him. Talk about Massett. I mean, with the shoulder surgery, he had hoped to be ready for spring training. It's taken him much longer than he had hoped for. See Massett's numbers: 31 innings. And that ERA of over 6. His ERA was respectable up until this past week. There's a bouncer right back through the middle by Santiago. Here comes Hanahan around third. He's going to score, and the Reds have taken the lead. So back-to-back hits, a double and a single, and the Reds lead it 2-1. Santiago's 11th RBI of the season.
A little ground ball, but it gets through this infield very quickly. The Reds have been pretty good on the day in getting the first 2 hitters of the inning on base. They did it in the first inning, they did it here in the 3rd inning, and they've done it now in the 4th. The difference is this time they've been able to plate a leadoff guy who was hand-to-hand with the double.
First hit with runners in scoring position tonight. They were 0 for 5 prior to that swing, so they're now 1 for 6. And here's Kozar. Zach fly to center to end the second.
You know it's a business, and these guys are as professional as possible about the way they go about their business. But there's always something kind of weird and different about pitching to your teammates.
Yep.
And, of course, not all of these guys were around when Nick Masson was on the mound for the Reds, but a great many of them were.
And your teammates and your friends, I mean, Nick and his wife Jenna were very popular in Cincinnati. They now have 2 beautiful daughters, 2 beautiful kids. And, the first time around, I mean, yesterday it was great to see them out in the outfield saying hello to their former teammates. Aren't many of them left, and you've been there, Chris. Hey, you just, played golf with one of your closest teammates,
yeah.
Tim Lawler, here in Denver. Those relationships last a long time. And you beat his butt, too, for 2 days, didn't you?
Don't say that.
Now there's an athlete. I mean, Lawler was one of the best hitting pitchers.
You're right.
Outstanding golfer.
Darn good pitcher, too.
Yeah. 1 ball, 1 strike. Chasing Santiago back to first. Center field, Stubbs there to make the catch, and there's your first out of the inning. Well, Santiago retreats to first, and here comes Cueto. Johnny singled his first time up and later scored the first run for the Reds on a ground out by Jay Bruce. Here the Rockies aren't giving away or expecting a bunt right now, but with Cueto, usually one of the Reds' leaders in sacrifices, and a runner down at first, we'll see how Brian Price handles it. Arenado even with the bag at third. He shows bunt. In comes Arenado, and it's fouled off by Johnny. Steps out, checks Steve Smith's signs from third, then steps back into the box. Cueto in the third, a solid single. That was followed by a Hamilton single. Negron sacrificed them to second and third, and then Johnny scored on the ground out. A little bigger lead for Santiago. Oh and 2. You keep it on?
Probably so, just to stay out of the double play ball.
Wide again, and he's battled back to 2 and 2. Billy awaits on deck. Butcher Boy chopped down to second. They'll get one. And nothing at first. Let's see how LeMahieu is. Culberson shoveled it to LeMahieu, and Santiago made contact with the leg. He buckled and now pops back up again. Take another look.
Good, clean, hard slide there by Santiago. He was still within reach of that second base bag, so there's nothing illegal about the way he went in. He just went in hard to make sure there wasn't going to be a double play. I mean, look at it this way. That's one infielder going after another infielder. So Santiago knows that there'll be a time when he's playing second base or shortstop that a guy is going to come in and slide like that to him. Walt Weiss has been in that position many, many times.
Keith Duggar, the trainer, out with him. Good clean slide. LeMahieu's a tough kid. Came out of LSU, great shortstop there. Kind of, we just honored Ronnie Oster, of course, going into the Reds Hall of Fame. Reminds you a little bit of Ronnie. Big, tall, lanky second baseman. Not a guy that you would say is a normal-looking second baseman. Similar to Oster, too. He's outstanding with the glove, and he's like a rock on those double plays.
Brian Price now out to talk to the umpires and probably asking, was this one of those plays where maybe the throw took him off the bag or what? I don't see him looking into the dugout, so it doesn't seem like he's waiting for any kind of a video confirmation.
Brian has talked to the crew chief, Dale Scott, and Walt Weiss is now out.
This is like an arbitration hearing. Well, you know what they're talking about. He's not on the bag at all. And
by the time
of course, this is not a reviewable play.
Right.
So Brian Price is asking the umpires, did you see something different that was called? Because we can't force you to replay that, but we feel like he wasn't on the bag when he received the ball from the shortstop.
I mean, the replay clearly shows that he's lost contact with the bag by the time the ball is in his glove. Not reviewable under the replay system. But you can ask the umpires to confer with each other. Very seldom will they overturn that.
Harumph, harumph.
So the out at second, Cueto's down at first. 2 outs now, and here's Hamilton. And you can see very clearly where DJ LeMahieu and Santiago collided. It's that left ankle for the Rockies second baseman. Here's Billy, 2 singles, 2 for 2. In the first, he singled and Negron singled on a bunt, but the Reds couldn't get him in. In the third, after Cueto singled, he singled to center again. Then they were sacrificed to second and third, and Bruce's ground ball got him in. One ball, 2 strikes. Very seldom do you see a rookie have the kind of impact that Billy Hamilton has had for his team. I mean, it's so clear when he gets on base, when he steals a base, when he hits, the Reds offense runs and it moves. 1-2. Nub down to third, past the bag and foul. Don't forget, RBI Baseball is back with all 30 MLB teams and 2,014 players. Get the Retro 2 button-style baseball game you've been missing. Visit RBIGame.com for more details and download today on your console and mobile device. One-two from Massett. Line but caught, picked off the dirt, and an outstanding defensive play by Morneau. That prevented the Reds from having second and third at least. Reds take the lead 2-1 on the base hit by Santiago.
I'm Jim Day. The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge is really sweeping the nation to raise money and bring awareness to fight the disease ALS. Well, today, Reds COO Phil Castellini took the challenge.
3, 2, 1. Yeah! Wow, let's go!
Not only Phil, but a bunch of Reds employees took the challenge today with the ice bucket over the head. Now, what happens is Phil now challenges others to take the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, and those people have 24 hours to respond. He challenged other executives in Major League Baseball and our very own general manager of Fox Sports Ohio, Francois McGillicuddy. So, Francois, you are on the clock.
He keeps it interesting, doesn't it? Good job, Philly. Francois is next up, huh? You could be next, Welsh.
You never know.
Line drive to left. He's been doing this all year. Justin Morneau, a 10-game hitting streak now. He bounced into a double play first time up. He leads off the fourth with a base hit to left. So Morneau is on, and here's Arenado. His homer to lead off the second, the lone run the Rockies have so far. Another look at his round tripper, his 12th of the year, Chris.
Yeah, that was a 93-mile-an-hour fastball that Cueto just wanted to throw in there and kind of get ahead of him. So they realize now that Arenado can turn on a heater. First pitch, he got a little slider down and away, and that time a cutter. One thing about Johnny, I mean, he doesn't put up the kind of numbers he does because he forgets what hitters do against him and what pitches they look good on and what pitches they look bad on. What he has not done a lot of tonight is throw that changeup down and in. You're going to stay away from Arenado here.
2 balls, 1 strike.
For the art of changing speeds and changing locations in the strike zone.
Short lead for Morneau, not a threat to run. He has no stolen bases. In the air to left, hit pretty good. Back at the warning track with room. Ludwig tagging it first, going to second will be Morneau. Backed up against the wall was Ludwig, and Arenado missed a 2-homer game by about 8 feet.
Got a whole bunch of it, but maybe on the end of the bat just a little bit right there. There was a time, and it may have been the time before the humidor, that ball's about 20 rows deep. Good play by Morneau to move up, figuring that you had Ludwig all the way pinned against the wall, really not in a good position to throw.
Still backing up as he caught the ball. So a runner in scoring position at second. Here's a bloop behind second. There is Negron. Dickerson's retired on the shattered bat. 2 away. Don't forget, you can always have the latest information on the Reds right at your fingertips. Follow Reds reporter Kevin Goheen from FoxSportsOhio.com, on Twitter at FSOhio_K Goheen for the latest news and stories on your favorite team. They'll keep you up to date on what's happening. Jim Day already reported on the rehab assignment for Logan Andrusik and Brandon Phillips tonight. Kevin will keep you up to date on them and also on the status of Homer Bailey on the disabled list now. 2 away, and here's Rosario. Bouncer back to Cueto. Stumbles over the back of the mound but makes the play. So a leadoff hit, no harm for Johnny Be Good. Reds go back to work. Negron will lead it off. Being brought to you by JTM Food Group. Let's create great dishes together. Buy Toyota. For over 30 Toyota offers, visit buyatoyota.com. And go for the Save on Wing Tuesdays at B-Dubs with specially priced wings all day. Buffalo Wild Wings, wings, beer, sports. Nothing better than that combination, wings, beer, and sports. Nothing better than great pitching and a couple of hits. That's what the Reds have so far. They lead it 2-1. The Reds scored their first run after trailing 1-0 after Nolan Arenado homered when Jay Bruce singled in Cueto after Cueto had singled and Hamilton had singled, and they were sacrificed to second and third by Negron. And then a double by Jack Hanahan, first hit of the year, followed by a single by Ramon Santiago. That made it 2-1 Reds, and that's where we are. Here's Kris. Reached on a bunt hit his first time and successfully sacrificed his second time up. Arenado, after watching him reach on a bunt first time up, at the edge of the grass for the first delivery, which is ball one from Nick Massett. Matt Belisle started for Colorado, 3 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. The former Red pitcher, and now backed up by another former Red, Nick Massett, in his second inning of work. Ball and a strike. Wide to third. It'll get past Arenado, and Culberson won't have a play, so that'll be an infield hit for Negron. I mean, anything, Chris, we talk often when Scott Rowland was with the Reds, every time something got hit down there, you never knew what he might do, and he almost made a brilliant play again. Way wide of third.
Well, the Reds have done a real good job. First 2 batters in this order have gotten now 3 for 6 as far as hits per at bats here through the first 4 and plus innings.
Here's Jay, 2 ground balls to short. One of them chased home Cueto with the Reds' first run from third. Down to third. Morneau will get one at second. On to first. Is he on the bag? He is. That's a double play. Solid, isn't he?
Did not hesitate one instant. Knew what he was going to do with the ball immediately. Read it as a double play ball and got back to the bag in time. It's a lot harder than people think for a pitcher to run all the way over there to first base and then station himself and get that throw from the shortstop.
The base runner erased, 2 away, and here's Ludwig. Ryan lined out and walked on a 3-2 pitch. Breaking ball drops in there for a strike. 1-1. Brian Pena on deck for the Reds. In the 9th at Washington, the Nationals lead the Pirates 5-3. In the 5th at St. Louis, the Cardinals lead San Diego 3-1. Reds, of course, will leave here and go to St. Louis for a big series there. In the 9th, Arizona leads Miami 3-2. And in the 8th, the Mets lead the Cubs 3-2. Brewers and Dodgers set to get underway, and Philadelphia's at San Francisco. 2-2. Here in the Mile High City, Reds lead it 2-1. Top of 5. Did he hold? Yes, he did. That's going to make its way into right for a base hit. So after 3 for 4 last night, Ludwig is 1 for 2 and a walk today.
Yeah, the good news for Ryan Ludwig, though, is that he hit the ball hard last night a couple of times. He hit it hard tonight twice already. Once right into the glove of the second baseman, and that stinging one hopper into right field.
Those two guys down at first very close. They talked before the game yesterday. Great respect for each other as longtime major leaguers. There's Bryan, struck out, flied out, 0 for 2. Belisle buckled him with a breaking ball, and Massett does the same thing there. To the right side, LeMahieu has it. That'll take care of Pena. The Reds get 2 hits in the inning, nothing to show for it. Still lead it 2-1. Cueto back to work. Culberson will lead it off. 21st through the 24th, and cheer on the Reds when they take on the Atlanta Braves. Purchase 4 tickets for only $48. Receive 4 $5 Servati vouchers. Purchase your tickets today and save with the 4 for $48 offer. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/4 for $48. There's Johnny ready to go to work. Last 7 starts, Chris. I mean, the whole year's been great, but of late, superb.
Well, I mean, really the difference is that the Reds have been giving him a little bit of run support, and whatever he's been given, he has made stand up to that 6-0 record in 7 starts. Against Colorado lifetime, and you go back a long time when Johnny first broke into the major leagues. 2-2 overall, 1-1 right here in Denver.
Here's Culberson to lead it off as we go to the bottom of 5 in the 7th spot, LeMahieu in the 8th spot, then the pitcher spot. Charlie flied out first time up. Oh, and 2. Great to have you with us at Coors Field. Game 2 of the 4-game set. Earlier start tomorrow, 8:10 Cincinnati time. Dylan Axelrod against Jordan Lyles.
You know, you don't see too many pitchers like Johnny Cueto, and if you're not in the division, don't see him very often. It's very difficult to pick the ball up. He never ever lets you even see the baseball until it's coming out of his hand. He does it out of the stretch. He does it out of the full windup. And a lot of times, you know, hitters are looking for that release point where they expect to see the baseball. And one of the reasons why Bronson Royal was effective is that he would change that location from time to time, and of course all the pitches associated with every different arm angle. But Cueto simply hides it. I remember Brian Pena telling me that in spring training it took him 2 or 3 bullpens over the course of about a week and a half to catch Cueto until he figured out exactly where that ball was coming from. And that's his catcher talking. So you can imagine how it is for a player, you know, like Culberson, who hadn't faced him before.
And there's 2 parts of that story, Chris. Number 1 is what the hitters deal with. Number 2, it tells you about the mindset that Brian Pena came to spring training with. He wanted to catch everybody, and in bullpens and in spring training games so he could get a feel for him and get them to believe in him as a catcher. His goal, as well as Devin Mesoraco. It was Mesoraco's job for the first time when this year started after Ryan Hannigan was dealt away.
You never have a lack of pitchers to catch in spring training.
Sometimes tough to find catchers that want to do it, though. Hit by a pitch is Culbertson, so he'll march down to first on the 2-2 pitch.
Yeah, and hit him with a changeup, and boy, that is something that Johnny doesn't like at all. No pitcher likes that. I mean, first to hit a guy, you don't want to do that, but then to let a changeup get away to the point where it just kind of grazes off of him and you give him a free base to start the inning.
Fourth time the leadoff hitter has reached base in 5 innings for the Rockies thus far. Here's LeMahieu, struck out looking to lead off the third. Runner going, hit and run, fouled off by the Rockies second baseman. Paul Weiss rolls through his signs. Stu Cole relays him to Culberson down at first.
Yeah, that hit batter by Johnny Cueto is the 10th this year. That puts him somewhat in an interesting category because the Reds now have 3 pitchers tied for second in that category in the National League.
Oh, his foot left the bag, but the ball was dropped by Hanahan after the tag. He just didn't have the tag on him.
Looks like he couldn't decide whether he wanted to go back in head first or standing up. Got caught in between.
Oh-2. Loop to right, curving, it'll go foul.
Well, getting back to the hit batsman, Cueto now has 10. Alfredo Simon has 10. Mike Leake has 10. That puts them in a tie with A.J. Burnett of Philadelphia, formerly of Philadelphia, who has 10 in second place. But they're way behind the leader in Charlie Morton of the Pittsburgh Pirates with 19. Johnny's always been up around the leader in the league. Keeps your walks down.
Pitching inside is important, though, and it's been a lost art. 0-2 again from Cueto. You know, Chris, when you come here, I mean, the Rockies very clearly, they're loose at the plate. They're swinging from their heels. That's their mindset here at home, especially. They're always very productive at home. And to win and to pitch effectively, you've got to pitch inside. You've got to make them move their feet. You've got to get them off the plate if you're going to win the battle pitching wise in this ballpark.
You're right.
Not something that many teams do at all anymore. 0-2.
You know, to my point earlier about how Johnny Cueto hides the ball so well, watch him from the stretch and watch him as he takes the ball out of his hand and he runs it up the back of his leg. He wants to make sure the hitter never even sees the baseball. Right now it's behind him. You can't see it. Now watch how he just kind of keeps it behind his leg right there, making sure that you don't see that baseball.
0-2 again. Runner bluffs going, swing and a miss. And LeMahieu's retired for Johnny. That's strikeout number 2. Another look, Chris.
Well, we're talking about kind of hiding the ball, just kind of sticking it in his glove almost. I got something in my glove. You have to guess what it is. That time it was a slider.
Here comes Jeff Pico out to talk to Cueto as the Rockies will pinch hit Jordan Lyles, tomorrow's starting pitcher, for Massett. And I think they want to make it clear to let Cueto know that Lyles swings the bat pretty good.
Well, Johnny has a tendency to make just about every hitter in the league hit like a pitcher. So if Lyles is already a pitcher, and he does swing the bat well, he was a very good high school player. In fact, Lyles, as I remember, was a terrific high school football player. Recruited to go to South Carolina, ended up instead signing a top round draft pick deal with the Houston Astros.
Already got a homer this year, 6 for 31, the average at 194 coming in. So the hit batter down at first, one away. Reds still double play depth. Santiago in tied at third. Gardy gets a possible bunt. Lyles went down to confer with the third base coach, Stu Cole. So we'll see how it's handled by Walt Weiss. Top of the order, Charlie Blackmon on deck. Showing bunt, fouled off. No balls, one strike. Steps out, peering down at Cole, who rolls through the signs again. Runner not going, bunt successfully executed. Pena will take care of it, and a sacrifice by the pitcher pinch hitting. So a runner in scoring position represents a tying run in a 2-1 ball game. Hey, right now on FoxSportsOhio.com, get a preview of the Bengals' first home preseason game tomorrow night against the Jets. Bearcats have a new quarterback, and Gunnar Kiel is shaking off the cobwebs. The Buckeye football team was the latest to take on the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, and see which NBA superstar Coach Meyer challenged afterwards. Get complete coverage of all of today's action involving Ohio sports on FoxSportsOhio.com. Brought to you by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. Drive safe, spend less. So a runner in scoring position for Blackmon, who's got 56 runs batted in and 2 hits tonight already. Popped up. With 2 away, this should do it. And it will. But Cueto strands another runner. He's stranded 3 through 5. The Reds hanging on to a 2-1 lead. In summary, Rockies took an early lead. 12th home run of the year for Nolan Arenado gave the Rockies a 1-0 lead in the second. And the Reds started their comeback in the third. Cueto started it with a base hit. Hamilton got a base hit, sacrificed to second and third. Bruce ground ball, chases Cueto home. We're tied at 1. And after Hanahan got his first hit of the season, Ramon Santiago singles to center field and chases him home from second. That'll make it 2-1 Cincinnati, and that's where we stand. Meanwhile, Johnny Be Good has sure been good. He's held the Rockies to only 4 hits and stranded 5 through the first 5. 2 runs, 8 hits, no errors, 6 left on base for the Reds. A run, 4 hits, no errors, 3 left on for the Reds. For the Rockies, rather. And here's the new pitcher for the Colorado Rockies. If you joined us late, Franklin Morales was scheduled to start. His wife went into labor. They're expecting a child, so he's at the hospital with her. He did not start. Matt Belisle, the former Red, went the first 3, allowed 4 hits and 3 runs. Nick Massett came in for 4 and 5, and now here is the third pitcher of the night. It's a bullpen night for Walt Weiss.
And he's a little bit more of a starting pitcher, this guy, Juan Nicasio, 6'3", 200-pounder from San Francisco de Macorís in the Dominican Republic. 4th season he has been with the Rockies. He started 31 games last year for the Rockies, had an even 9-9 record.
There's Jack. His first hit of the injury-marred year for him came in the 4th inning, and he scored after Santiago followed with a single. 1 ball, 1 strike to the Reds' first baseman.
Ocasio a little giddy up on that fastball.
Missing down and in. Great to have you with us, George Grand, Chris Welsh, Jim Day, here in Colorado for Game 2 of the 4-game set. We'll be filling you in on what has been a busy day in Reds country with Reds Live postgame. Swing and a miss. 2-2. Down in the truck. Josh Hall, our producer. Roy Alfers, our director. Those highlights you just saw in our Honda game summary dialed up by Matt Sigafus. Lauren White giving us some graphics to help you enjoy tonight's ball game. And back home in the studio, Jeff Pecoro, Brian Giesenslaw, Kent Dreamweaver, Ron Millenor, Rob Overberg, keeping you up to date on Reds Live pregame and Reds Live postgame. Bouncer down to second. Mayhew has it, 1 away. And great to be back in Denver. Richard, great to be working with you again. And Nate, thanks for your help statistically up in the booth. Nice to give you your work release, Richard, and get you here. Many moons, huh, Chris?
George, you used to like going to a place here called the Rocky Mountain Diner.
Oh,
Is that
boy.
place still around?
No, they closed it a few years ago. That was one of the few places in America that I would have meatloaf. And it was good. It was good. There's a lot of great places here, aren't there, Chris?
There certainly are.
Golf courses, too. Place you played today you liked, huh?
Not too bad. Lakewood Country Club. Very old golf course. My old roommate Tim Lawler, pro golfer up there.
Is Ramon, a base hit, gave the Reds a 2-1 lead. 1 for 2 tonight. You know, I'll always remember the Rocky Mountain Diner for a lot of reasons. One of them was it was the last dinner I had with John McSherry, the great umpire who passed away, unfortunately, opening day in Cincinnati. The last time we were in the year before, after a ball game, we went to dinner there, and he talked about his love for the game. What a, the big bear of a guy who was an outstanding umpire, too. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bounce toward short. Culberson takes the tricky hop off the grass and converts it. Nice job by the shortstop, who's in for Troy Tulowitzki, who's out for the year with hip surgery.
That's a real tricky hop right there. He's expecting a nice Sunday hop about waist high, and the ball hits right on the edge of the grass and the dirt with a little overspin. Good glove man.
And Tulowitzki, one of the best offensive and defensive shortstops in the game. You lose him, you lose something big.
You think that he'll come back and play shortstop, or will there be some pressure on Tulowitzki when he does come back, maybe to switch positions?
I would think so. I mean, for what he's gone through and the injuries he's had of late, and all to the legs and the hips.
Yeah.
You know, Robin Yount went through it, when he hurt his shoulder and had to move to center field, and still was a very productive major leaguer and went to the Hall of Fame. He could still hit, and they still have him on a long-term deal. 3 ground balls. Lyles gets the 3 ground ball. Ocasio rather gets the 3 ground ball outs, and we're heading to the bottom of 6. The Reds Live presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing on your exclusive home for the Reds, Fox Sports Ohio. And after every Reds game, Fox Sports Ohio breaks down the game, brings you the first interviews with Brian Price and all the players. Reds Live brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. Nice interview you had with Jeff Pico, Chris.
Interesting to always talk to a pitching coach, George, for me anyway, and he had some nice insight on this Reds pitching staff. And the one thing that came about over and over again in talking to him either on camera or off was the work ethic of his pitchers. And I don't think there's any better example of that than with Johnny Cueto. who really kind of turned around his career. And I'm wondering if maybe Dusty Baker had a lot to do with that, where he took him aside and said, you know what, you've got to put a little bit more work in here than just the ordinary pitcher, because you've got the talent to be one of the best in the game, but you've got to work to deserve that and feel like you deserve that, but you also have to work to get yourself in shape. And that was about the time that Cueto started running stadium steps everywhere he went and really took it upon himself to stay in shape. You know, he's got the kind of body that can add on pounds before you know it. I mean, you turn around 1 week and you gain 5 or 10 pounds, so he's got to be on top of that, but he works as hard as anybody in between starts.
And Dusty Baker and Dick Pohl, when he was the pitching coach as well with the Reds, there's a broken bat down to third, scooped up by Cozart, and they will get him. They get the speedy Stubbs by the slimmest of margins. Stubbs looking at it, Eric Young saying challenge it, and here comes Walt Weiss. He may exactly do that.
Well, at least they're going to go out and have the video guy in the video room look at it to see if it's worth a challenge or not. We'll be able to tell you probably on this. Talk about a saw job. Nice play by Cozart.
Take a look from this angle. Yeah, it looked like he got him.
I think so.
By the naked eye, I thought he beat it. Got him. Good call by Dale Scott, the crew chief. And relayed from downstairs in the Rockies clubhouse, there is no challenge. The Stubbs retired. Brilliant play by Cozart. Here's Morneau. His base hit stretched his hitting streak to 10 straight. These Reds pitchers have been pretty fortunate, Chris, in this staff. I mean, 4 years of Brian Price, and he made them accountable to each other. I mean, that was the thing that he really brought to the Reds pitchers. Be accountable to yourself, be accountable to the team, and now his job is to translate that to a 25-man roster as well. And when you talk to Jeff Pico, it's great to still have that guy here to help you make that transition too, meaning your manager. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Pitching coach here in Denver, Jim Wright, was the pitching coach for Jeff Pico early in his career, and he is so proud of him the way he has become one, as he describes, one of the best pitching coaches in baseball. There's Big Jim, bull of a guy, and a guy who believes in his pitchers. He salvaged Matt Belisle's career. He talked him into not quitting. He talked him into believing that he could pitch and win here. Tom Reynolds behind him, and one of the Doyle boys, Blake Doyle, the new hitting coach here. Great family, great baseball family. Full count, 3-2. Popped up. Is there room? In the seats. I guess every pitcher especially has to have somebody believe in him. I mean, you always talk about Sammy Ellis, how much he meant to you.
Oh, you're right. I mean, unless you're one of those guys who's a #1 draft pick and comes out as a ballyhooed prospect that can't miss. But somewhere along the way, somebody gets your ear more than others. If you're lucky to play long enough, you'll eventually run into that coach who says the words the right way. I mean, most coaches say the same thing, but they just say them in different words. Sometimes the light goes on, and sometimes it takes somebody else to say something in a different way for the light to go on.
Try it again, 3-2. Cueto to Morneau. Missing up and in. That's a walk. So a 1-out walk. 1 out, 1 on, and here comes Arenado, who homered earlier. You know, I think in our career together, Chris, after 22 years, it's been great to watch Homer Bailey grow up as a pitcher and become a real true professional. And early on, he clashed with Dick Pohl, but a lot of the things that Dick Pohl tried to instill on him, because he just wanted him to grow up faster, were things that he believes in now. So sometimes the message gets there, but it takes a little longer.
You're right. Reds are going to miss him in the rotation until he gets healthy again.
And you know that the way the Reds have operated under Dr. Timothy Kremchek, they will be very cautious. And this is not it possibly cannot be a serious injury, but it's the kind of an injury that if you don't handle it correctly can be serious.
Well, I'm not really sure what it is, and just hearing what Brian Price said, I'm disappointed that it's going to be longer than I had originally had hoped it would be.
Bloop to right, that'll be a base hit for Arenado. That's the story of Denver, Colorado. You got to play deep in a spacious outfield, and it's those bloops that drop in for base hits that prolong innings.
Now, this is the first time all game that the Rockies have had a couple of runners on base here in the same inning.
So first and second with one out. The Reds will be a double play depth for Corey Dickerson. Good speed at the plate. Dickerson popped to third and popped to second. That's a strike.
Well, he's got to be wondering, how can that be a strike when he was jumping out of the way of it? This is how hot he has been the last 10 days. Seeing the ball very big right now.
With the injuries the Rockies have had, he figures to be in the lineup every day. Good spot.
Good little frame job there by Brian Pena. He bought that strike.
Strike one with two on. Line to left. That's a base hit. Ludwig will cut it off, but a run will score. It's going to be second and third. A double from the red-hot Corey Dickerson, and he stretches his hitting streak to 10 straight. And this game is tied at 2.
This guy can hit a little bit. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he even steps a little bit in the hole, but he keeps his bat back enough to be able to still command the strike zone.
So the chance for the double play is erased. Now Brian Price's decision is to play the infield in with the go-ahead run here in the 6th inning down to third. So it's Cueto's job, hopefully, to ring up a strikeout or a pop-up here.
Now, nobody up in the Reds bullpen. So this is a pitching coach's trip to the mound by the manager, Brian Price.
Willeen Rosario due up. He's grounded out twice, once to short, once back to Cueto. Got some home run power with 10, though.
You know, one thing you got to be careful of right here is a first pitch fastball out over the plate. Willeen Rosario, when he came up last time with a couple of runners on, or with a runner on in the 4th inning, swung at the first pitch. He also swung at the first pitch in his first at bat and grounded out to the shortstop. So he's up there to hack right here.
Now, do you walk him intentionally and set up a double play? And as the infielders drop back, it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. So they'll set up a possible double play. I mean, Brian has talked about it. He is very wary of playing the infield in here. He didn't twice last night simply because you can prolong an inning dramatically. So they'll roll the dice, walk Rosario and deal with Culbertson and try to turn that into 2. So the intentional pass, that's the second walk of the inning after the 1-out walk to Morneau. That loads the bases. Talk about responding to the moment. Johnny Cueto sure has done that with runners in scoring position. He's going to have to do it again here.
Now, well, the only thing that you're looking for here is what are his chances of getting a ground ball double play? So far this year he has rolled up 8.
That's a strike. Culberson flied to left and was hit by a pitch.
This guy really doesn't seem like he is on the Rockies program. I mean, they are ultra aggressive in this ballpark, swinging at a lot of pitches. Culberson has taken a lot of pitches. I don't think he sees the ball coming out of Cueto's hand very well.
Strike one to Culberson. Just missing. 1-1.
Even that take right there by Culberson, a lot of body action. I mean, like he couldn't decide. And again, I just don't see him seeing the pitch.
2-2 ball game, bottom of 6, bases loaded, 1 out. Foul back, 1-2. Jay Bell, the Reds bench coach, peering out at his pitcher as Cueto's trying to find a way to wiggle out of this jam.
You know, you get the feeling even when Johnny gets in situations like this and he is still in control of the inning. Sometimes you get a pitcher out there, he gets bases loaded and 1 out, and you're putting your hands together to say a prayer. Cueto gives you a lot of confidence.
Prayers don't hurt, though. Here's the 1-2. Slap foul and out of play. $32,000 plus last night. Looks like a little bigger crowd here tonight. Time for that changeup, Chris?
That's what they're going to do, it looks like.
Got him.
Go with the high cheese. I'm going by where Brian Pena set up. He was bouncing around back there. And Johnny reaches back and gets a little extra on this fastball. This is the second gear that we're talking about. You see where they're trying to pitch him the entire bat is up and away. The home run that he hit last night was down and in.
What a big time pitch. Time for tonight's flamethrower, brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce. Here's a dandy, Chris. Well, it's up to DJ LeMahieu, who struck out twice, once looking, once swinging against Cueto. The base is still loaded. Held it there that little extra instant. This is a big kid. Might have even been a strike. One ball, one strike. One and two, locked them up with that one. All year long, Cueto's responded in key situations, trying to do it again here. Pena flashes his signs. Johnny to the stretch. Here's the 1-2.
Now this is the decision pitch right here on a 2-2 count.
The 85th pitch of the night from Johnny Cueto to the 8th batter in the lineup, DJ LeMahieu. Got him. Pena pumps his right arm in the air. So does Cueto, and Brian Price's strategy works here in the 6th. They strand 3. They've left 6 on base, and Cueto gets out of the big jam. We're tied, though. It's a 2-2 ball game. Receive a Rosy Red book presented by PNC Bank on Sunday, August 24th. Plus, take advantage of the 4 for $48 ticket offer. Purchase 4 tickets for only $48. Receive 4 $5 Cervati vouchers. That's a total of $20 towards any order at Cervati's Pastry Shop in Delhi. Bring the family to the ballpark Sunday, August 24th. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or reds.com/tickets. Well, this was a bullpen day from the beginning for the Colorado Rockies. Matt Belisle pitched 3. Nick Massett pitched 2. Nicasio pitched the 6th, and here in the 7th, here comes Rex Brothers, Chris.
Now, he's a workhorse that has been appeared in more than 70 games each of the last 2 seasons. 75 a couple of years ago, 72 last year. And a hard-throwing left-hander he is. 58 games now for Brothers.
Well, the Reds go to work, and here's Johnny. Well, what a big-time effort by Cueto, Chris. You know, the Reds have struggled to score runs. It's a 2-2 ball game. Bases loaded, 1 out. He's been the horse all year, and boy, did he deliver those 2 batters.
Well, that's the second gear that you talk about when you speak of Johnny Cueto that a lot of pitchers can't go to. A lot of guys, when they're throwing 95 miles an hour, they're doing it all game long, and when they're looking back, reaching back for something more, there's nothing there. Cueto's learned how to pitch effectively at 91, 90, 92, throw some cutters in there at 89, and then all of a sudden when he really needs that fastball, he rears back and gives it to you at 95, something you haven't seen all game long.
He's had to run the bases today, too. This is the second time in his 3 at-bats he's led off an inning. He singled to lead off the 3rd and later scored the Reds' first run.
Look at him twirling the bat up there.
You're a little happy, huh?
You look like a little Gary Sheffield going on.
Takes a peek over at the right side of the infield. 2 balls, 1 strike. Shows a bunt. That's why he was peeking over there. Morneau was deep. Two. Two runs, 8 hits for the Reds. 2 runs, 6 hits for the Rockies. The Reds have stranded 6, and the Rockies have stranded 6. Brothers a strikeout. There's 1 out. Here comes Billy Hamilton. Not that you necessarily want an out, but Billy's been on twice with Cueto in front of him in this ball game. So Billy 2 for 3 today, 2 singles and a line drive to first. See if he can get the Reds rolling here in the 7th. Fastball misses inside. Nationals beat the Pirates 5-4. In the 8th, the Cardinals now lead San Diego 3-1 in St. Louis. In the 2nd, Dodgers lead the Brewers 1-0. Our DirecTV standings up to date to the moment in the National League Central. The Reds 6.5 back, Cardinals 2, and the Pirates now 3 games back. That's a strike, 1 and 2. Leadoff hitter Hamilton, Kris Negron due up next. 2-2. Lined into center, but there is Stubbs. 4 good at bats for Billy tonight. 2 hits and 2 line drive outs. Nothing to show for it this time. 2 away, and here comes Negron. As you continue to tweet your photos using the hashtag #OhioFanPhoto, here's tonight's fan photo of the game, brought to you by AT&T. Thanks, Laura. That's a good looking photo. Hope you guys had fun at the ballpark. Two away. Here's Kris. Reached on a bunt hit, successfully sacrificed runners to second and third, and that allowed Cueto to score on a ground out by Bruce in the third, and he singled to short in the fifth. Back in the old nasty boy days, Rob Dibble striking out 3 in 9 pitches was something that was not strange or odd, but in this day and age, not often does it happen. And Chapman's always got that possibility, but Brothers did it back in June at San Francisco in the 8th inning. 3 strikeouts, 9 pitches.
Well, he's only really a 2-pitch pitcher, but both of those are plus pitches from a scouting perspective. He's got a plus fastball that he rides up there in the mid to upper 90s, and you just saw that slider that got pretty good downward tilt.
1-2, and the dirt got him on the foot, didn't it?
May have felt like it, but it just
sure looked like it. I guess not.
He probably could have run to first and maybe faked it. So I don't know how anybody could get a good look at that in real time.
Two. Looped into right. That's a base hit. So a good night for Kris Negron. 3 hits and a sacrifice. Second time this year since coming up, he's had a 3-hit ball game.
Little jam shot right there, but who cares? Keeps the inning alive, and Jay Bruce, who's made 4 outs and 3 at bats, has a chance now to hit off a left-handed pitcher, and he, you know what he does against left-handed pitchers as far as home runs.
Nobody's hit more homers against left-handed pitchers in the last 5 years than this guy. Bruce grounded out in the first, grounded out in the third, and plated a run and bounced into a double play.
Now he's got to be guessing dead red right here. Now Brothers misses that first pitch with a slider, and he doesn't want to go 2-0, so you're looking for Powder River.
Against Brothers, he's 0 for 3 in their previous matchups. From the stretch is Brothers. Popped up left side. The left fielder Dickerson there, he'll haul it in, and that'll do it. The Reds strand a runner. They've stranded 7. We're still tied at 2. Superb as usual. Boy, did he battle out of a big jam. That's our time to say hi to the dancing dog, our John Morrell hot dog play of the night. And Kris, not 1 but 2. He's got the bases loaded with 1 out. 2 strikeouts back to back. That's dandy.
That is a 4-seam fastball, folks.
Our John Morrell hot dog pitches of the night.
Well,
it's
you get that
Culberson
reaction?
and LeMahieu.
Would you get that reaction from a hitter where he slams his bat into the ground in disgust? You know you've done something.
That's pitcher's heaven, isn't it? Here's Brandon Barnes, who will pinch hit to lead off the 7th in the pitcher spot. And Barnes is a good one. He's number 1 in the major leagues with 14 pinch hits. Trying to get a runner on to get the inning started. No balls, 2 strikes. Barnes in the top of the order. Charlie Blackmon due up. 88th pitch of the night from Cueto, and that's strikeout number 5 for Johnny. And that's the best pinch hitter in the league.
Well, you're looking at the best pinch hitter because he's a really good fastball hitter, and he didn't get one fastball this entire at bat. That last pitcher looked like a changeup. So Cueto, who gets out of the last inning, bases loaded by overpowering Rocky hitters with a four-seam fastball, gets a good fastball hitter out on off-speed pitches.
One away. Here's Blackman. 2 singles and a pop-up. And a stolen base on the night. Ripped down the right field line, curving. It is a foul ball. Not by much. After 6 years in the minors, Chris, you wonder if is what he did the end of last year and what he's doing this year for real. But what we've seen, he looks like a pretty good hitter.
Well, I'm sure that the Rockies hope so. He sure looks like a good hitter to me, although we've only seen him in the series that he came in through Cincinnati earlier this year, I think in May. And in a couple of games he's played here in Denver this week.
Pulled the string on him way out in front, 1-2. Just missing the outside corner. Chris, you and I were together when Johnny Almaraz at Plant City told us, wait till you see this young kid from the Dominican. Boy, does he throw hard. He's got a great changeup. He's going to be big time. That's a bouncer down to second. Negron has it. And there's 2 away. Johnny Almaraz was sure right when he was talking about Johnny Cueto.
Well, he kept saying it every year. Who's the best pitcher in the Reds minor league? And he talked about a real young kid down there that we knew we wouldn't see in big league camp for quite a while. Little by little, Johnny Cueto has, I think, exceeded all expectations. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the signing bonus the Reds paid to Johnny Cueto when he signed was somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,500.
Johnny, of course, now one of the assistants to Frank Wren in Atlanta, in the Atlanta organization. Johnny Almaraz, a brilliant baseball mind. And he's ahead again, 0-2.
Boy, he is on a roll right now. You go back to those last 2 strikeouts with the bases loaded. And the 2 guys he's faced in this inning, I mean, he can't get the ball back fast enough right now.
Check swing. Hanahan has it. That'll do it. A strikeout, 2 easy ground balls. Reds go to work. We're heading to the 8th in a 2-2 ball game. Ludwig's been hot. Can he get hotter? As Derek Jeter and the Yankees take on the Rays, then flip over to the Fox Sports Ohio at 7:30 for Reds Live, followed by the Reds taking on the Rockies. Coverage begins at 3:30 on Fox Sports 1, continues right here on Fox Sports Ohio. The pitching rotation for the Reds. Dylan Axelrod, if you just joined us, will make his first start for the Reds against Jordan Lyles tomorrow. And then Matt Latos against another left-hander, Johan Flande. That's on Sunday. Then the Reds head to St. Louis, Chris. Mike Leake, Alfredo Simon, and Johnny Cueto Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday against Justin Masterson, John Lackey, and Lance Lynn, who's going tonight. Here's Boone Logan pitching for the 2nd straight night.
It's been a juggling act, really, for Walt Weiss, the manager of the Rockies tonight, knowing that their starting pitcher couldn't make it. So they start with a reliever. They get 3 innings out of Belisle. That's been excellent. And ever since then, it's been 2 innings by Massett and 1 inning by everybody else. And back-to-back left-handers here with Brothers and Logan.
Pitched 2/3 of an inning. 9 pitches last night facing Ludwig. Big swing for Ryan. Ludwig 3 for 4 last night and a long home run. Tonight he lined hard to second. walked on a 3-2 pitch and then singled to right. Hit the ball hard 2 more times tonight. 7 home runs on the season for Ludwig. 12 career home runs against the Rockies. 10 of them here at Coors Field. Missing down low, 1-1. Ludwig will be followed by Pena and then Hanahan. Scheduled up. A couple of notes if you joined us late. Kris mentioned that Franklin Morales did not start. That's because his wife went in labor. He's at the hospital with her, waiting for the birth of their child. And for the Reds, Todd Frazier did not start. He tweaked his back on a swing last night. The back locked up at the end of the game and undergoing treatment. Really is the epitome of day to day. You don't know it. Could clear up rapidly. It could be something that lingers. Hopefully it won't take long. 2-1.
You know, hopefully it sounds as minor as you described it. Tweaked his back.
That's the way he described it.
Yeah.
You never know. I mean, backs are tricky things. You could, if you could get it aligned properly, it could be back rapidly. It could linger for a few days. The way things have gone for the Reds, they sure need him back. 3-1. Hit hard down to short. Backhanded by Culberson. There's your first out of the inning.
Well, the starter tonight was Matt Belisle, and while Belisle in 2012 was busy leading the league in appearances in the National League with 80 games, in the American League, the guy who's on the mound right now was leading the league in appearances for the Chicago White Sox. Or making for the New York Yankees. He was in 80 games that year, so the Rockies have cornered the market on the most used pitchers in 2012.
And it's the right place because this is an often used bullpen ballpark.
You know, for Logan, though, he was more of a specialist where he came in and faced only one batter. In fact, in those 80 appearances, he only logged 55 innings. So you're left the only one guy pitcher.
Pena waves at that, and it's 0-2. Bryan tonight struck out, flied out, bounced out 0 for 3. Logan last night went 2/3 of an inning. Adam Ottavino went 1/3 of an inning last night, and he's up in the bullpen loosening. Both of them pitched in the 8th inning last night. One ball, 2 strikes to the Reds catcher. Setting up inside. Hop back and out of play. Tied again, 1-2. Line drive right at the third baseman. Sounded like he may have broken his bat as well. 2 away. And here comes Hanahan. And they will not let Hanahan bat. Here comes Devin Mesoraco out of the dugout. Mesoraco not starting tonight. pinch hitting, and a bolt from Devin would be ideal right now for Johnny Cueto. Mesoraco, 294 on the year, reached the 20 home run mark and 63 knocked in. And with Ottavino in the bullpen, the right-hander ready, Walt Weiss will be on his way out, and that'll be it. It'll be similar to last night in the 8th inning. Boone Logan getting the first 2 outs, and Weiss hopes that his right-hander can get the final out. Hasn't motioned to the bullpen yet. Ottavino's ready to go. Now we go. Time for our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Moment on MLB Whip Around, weeknights at 10 o'clock Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Second straight night, Adam Ottavino will enter the game in the 8th inning with 2 away. He'll face Devin Mesoraco's pinch hitting for Jack Hanahan. Here are the numbers on the big, tall right-hander. Here's Mesoraco. Dribbles this one out in front of the plate. It kicks away from Rosario, but he manages to barehand it and toss out Mesoraco. 1 pitch, 1 out for Ottavino. We're going to the bottom of 8, tied at 2.
Here at Coors Field in Denver. I'm Jim Day. Last week we showed you the Baseball America's Tools Edition comparing Billy Hamilton and Dee Gordon. Well, let's show you how Baseball America ranks Johnny Cueto. This is MLB. Best pitcher, they rate him as the 3rd best pitcher as far as tools go. 2nd best changeup and 3rd best pickoff move. When you're in the top 3 in those categories, according to Baseball America, you are some kind of pitcher.
Reds fans will affirm that, JD. Johnny ready to go to work, bottom of 8. Chris, you and I were speculating what the Brian Price might do when he pinch hit with Mesoraco. One of the options is to move Pena from behind the plate to first and put Mesoraco behind the plate. That's exactly what they're going to do.
You know, it's not always ideal, though, to, you know, the old saying, change a horse in the middle of a stream. When you've got catcher combo along with the pitcher flowing like they have done so far, sometimes you throw off some rhythm. That's a great play by Cozart.
What a play by Cozart. Bloop into no man's land with everybody playing deep with Morneau at the plate, and Cozart closes the gap. No way Hamilton's going to get there. Brilliant play by Cozart. Great first step break. Talk about long balls here, Chris. More often than not, those are the plays that really start rallies, those little bloops. And very often we talk about the value of defense, and sometimes it translates to statistical analysis. Sometimes it's the eyeball test. Plays like that are the eyeball test.
Well, in this ballpark, there are a lot of doubles. At least there used to be a lot of doubles given up on ground balls that used to just go through the hole and die before they got to the outfielders. So you talk about speed in the outfield. You need speed in your infield, especially your middle infielders.
Arenado sends this one high in the air. Hamilton's got a beat on it at the warning track. He'll haul it in. Arenado already 2 hits, a homer in the 2nd to lead off the inning, his 12th of the year, the first run for the Rockies, and then a single to right in the 6th that prolonged a rally that eventually led to the 2nd run. And he just missed that.
Yeah, he did just miss that because he hit it a mile high. Literally.
In the right city to do that. As Corey Dickerson stretched his hitting streak to 10 straight with a double to left that tied the game in the 6th. Swinging out of his shoes for strike 1. He popped up twice and then double to left. The Reds had a 2-1 lead until the 6th, but a 1-out walk started it. A walk to Morneau, the single by Arenado, then the double tied the game. Looking ahead to the 9th for the Reds, bottom of the order, Santiago, Cozart, and then Cueto due up. LaTroy Hawkins losing in the bullpen, the closer for Colorado. 0-2. That was the defensive dance. Half of the infielders were heading towards the dugout thinking it was strike 3. Instead, it's ball 1, 1-2. Up high, 2-2. Catcher Rosario on deck. Got him. Strikeout number 6 for Johnny Cueto. Let's see if the Reds can come up with a marker in the 9th. Santiago will lead it off in a 2-2 game. $1 ticket offer August 21st through the 24th. And cheer on the Reds when they take on the Braves. Purchase 4 tickets for only $48. Receive 4 $5 Cervati vouchers. Get some great pastry from Cervati. Purchase your tickets today. Save with the 4 for $48 deal. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/4 for $48. 106 pitches for Johnny, Chris, and boy, did he end it brilliantly.
Well, you're not kidding about that. He thought it was going to maybe go backwards on him when he gave up a home run in the 2nd inning and was down 1-0. The Reds came back to tie the score, then take the lead, and we're knotted at 2. Good effort by Johnny Cueto tonight, and what else? Kind of what we have grown to expect.
26th start and 23rd quality start for Johnny Cueto of the 26. Now he's hoping his teammates can come up with a run to give him a lead. Action in the Reds bullpen. The numbers for Cueto through 8 innings. Here we go to the 9th. Santiago trying to bunt his way on. Ramon bounced out to first. Single to center to knock in the Reds' go-ahead run. That was 2-1 back in the 4th after a double by Jack Hanahan. And then robbed of a hit on a nice play by the shortstop in the 6th. So a 1 for 3 night so far. 1 ball, 1 strike. Arenado in tied at 3rd. Morneau back at 1st. Down and in, 2-1. The Reds have used Mesoraco. Tucker Barnhart, the switch hitting catcher, available. Heisey available, and Skip Schumacher available. Line drive, base hit. Cut off by Blackman. Stopping at first will be Santiago. So Ramon gets a leadoff hit in the 9th. Now let's see if the Reds can get him on, get him over, and get him in here in the 9th. Here's Cozart.
Solid line drive by Santiago, his 2nd hit of the night.
Zach flied out to center twice and bounced to short. See how Brian Price handles it. Do you sacrifice him to second? Show and bunt. Gets it down. That'll get the runner into scoring position. Good job by Cozart. The Reds have struggled to do the little things so often. This is a good sign as they get the runner into scoring position, and with Cueto due up, here comes Skip Schumacher out of the dugout. Second sacrifice for the Reds tonight, back in the 3rd after hits by Cueto and Billy Hamilton. Kris Negron sacrificed them to 2nd and 3rd, and Bruce's ground out tied the game at 1. Well, here's Schumacher. Skip at 239, couple of homers and 19 knocked in. against Ottavino, 0 for 2 in his career. Culberson trying to keep the runner tight at second. Santiago, good speed, trying to get as much of a lead as he can to score on a base hit.
Ottavino and Schumacher were teammates in St. Louis in 2010.
1 ball to Schumacher. Tries to check it, can't do it. That's a strike, 1-1. Two runs, 10 hits for the Reds. They've stranded 7. 2 runs, 6 hits for the Rockies. They've stranded 6. Missing wide, and it's 2-1. Second straight night of work for Ottavino, even though he only did face 1 batter and threw 4 pitches last night. 2-1. Morales rolls through his signs twice. Sets up inside, now moves outside in the dirt. Oh, and they got Santiago was hung up between second and third, but manages to get back as no one could find the baseball, and Santiago wasn't sure how far it got away. So 3-1. Ottavino to the stretch, Schumacher at the plate. That's ball 4. So the Reds will have first and second with 1 out, and back to the top of the order, Billy Hamilton. Walt Weiss knew this would be a challenging night when the day started. He knew he was going to face Johnny Cueto. Then on his way to the ballpark, he got a phone call that his starting pitcher wouldn't be there. Franklin Morales was heading to the hospital. His wife was ready to give birth. So he's had to go with relievers, and he's battled Cueto to a 2-2 tie to the ninth. You know, in a situation like this, you say bunt not a factor, but with Billy Hamilton there, Chris, it is. You can keep the line moving, as Jerry Narron once said.
I like the idea of swinging the bat here.
Yep. Billy's had a good night. He's hit the ball hard 4 times, 2 singles to center, a line drive to first, and a line drive to center.
You know, I'm wondering if maybe 2 days off of batting practice. And I know that the Reds are hit in the cages, but they didn't stand out there. They don't go all the same exercises they do on a day when they can get out on the field and do full. May have given Billy Hamilton a little bit of rejuvenation.
Good point.
His bat began to look real slow there at the very end of that series against the Marlins. And neither team has hit the last couple of days because rain showers have come through here in the afternoon.
He's in a hole 0-2. Kris Negron on deck. Ottavino to the stretch. They're pinched in a step or 2 in left is Dickerson. A base hit that way, he'll have a chance to throw out Santiago. In center and right, a base hit should score the go-ahead run. Culberson trying to keep Santiago as close as he can to second. Here's the 1-2. Popped up in the infield. The infield fly rule call. Billy's retired, so we're down to 1 out and still 2 runners on. Reds now 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position tonight. The only time they converted was a base hit by Santiago in the 4th. Here's Negron, who's had a good night as well. His second 3-hit night of the season. A bunt hit, a sacrifice, a hit to short, and a hit to right. A base hit to right here could give the Reds the lead. Fastball, foul back for strike 1. Santiago led off the inning with a walk, sacrificed to second. Schumacher pinched hit and walked. Through the middle of the infield, that's a base hit. Stubbs is charging. Here comes Santiago. The throw to the plate will not be in time, and the Reds take the lead. What a night for Kris Negron.
Big time hit for Christopher Negron. Why don't we call this our Nissan drive of the game? He gets a breaking ball and he lines it right back through the box. A little clutch hitting on the part of Negron. The Reds have the lead.
A 4-hit night for Negron. The Reds have taken the lead. And this could qualify Johnny Cueto for a W after the brilliant night he's had. So Negron delivers. Cueto now has a lead, and here's Jay Bruce. Schumacher at second, Negron at first. And the big guy up in the bullpen, Chris.
What else?
A little add-on would help here. Schumacher off second. Bruce at the plate. 3 ground balls and a fly ball out for Jay tonight. Bruce against Ottavino in their matchups, 0 for 3. In the dirt, both runners will advance. Now a base hit could give the Reds a 3-run pad. Nothing's been easy for the Reds or their manager Brian Price of late. It's been one run game after another. Most nights. Now they're trying to build a lead to a comfortable margin here in the ninth. 2-1. Brilliant 106 pitch effort. Now a cheerleader is Johnny Cueto in the Reds dugout. This one hit high in the air to right. Going back is Blackman. Going way back at the wall. He'll haul it in. Boy, the Beaumont bomber almost drilled one there. He hit it a mile in the air. Blackman almost ran out of room. But the good news is Cueto has a lead thanks to Negron's hit. And guess who's coming in? Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio has been brought to you by Chevy. Visit your Tri-State Chevy dealer today. And by Cincinnati Children's Hospital, who ranks 3rd in the country on United States News and World Report's 2014 Best Children's Hospitals. And as promised before, Chris, it's time for our Miller Time moment. You remember this one, May the 11th, after Aroldis Chapman was sidelined with a line drive off his noggin in spring training. They didn't know when he'd come back. He came back, and what did he do? Struck out the side.
Came out throwing pretty hard, as I remember, George, showing no effects at all of that line drive that he took off of his forehead during spring training. Had the fans at Great American Ballpark going crazy. And the way Brian Price would have drawn it up tonight would be very similar to that.
Our Miller time moment, saluting Aroldis Chapman, who comes in here in the 9th inning to try to close things out. Chapman ready to go to work after Johnny Cueto really did the yeoman's effort tonight. 106 pitches, a brilliant night for Cueto, Chris.
Well, anytime you have Cueto and then Chapman in a ball game, it means you're leading going into the 9th inning, and it means that Chapman probably got a little extra adrenaline flowing right here with just a 1-run lead. He's 25 for 27 in saves, and he has struck out a whopping 74 hitters in 37 innings.
Now we'll start it off in the 9th with Willeen Rosario, the catcher, hitting 6th in the order. Rosario, Culberson, and LeMahieu due up. Rosario tonight bounced out twice and was intentionally walked. Strike one from the big left-hander at 1-0-1. Rosario 0 for 3 in his matchups against Aroldis. Wild swing, and it's 0-2. 3 runs, 11 hits, no errors for the Reds. The Reds have stranded 9 tonight. For the Rockies, 2-6-0. Those are staggering numbers, aren't they?
Those are the kind of numbers you see out of a #1 draft pick in high school.
High school, yeah. 0-2. Broken bat, blooped into center. Will Billy get there? He got it. Hamilton came from nowhere to glove that. Oh, speed is a wonderful thing, especially in this park, like it was rocket shot, Chris.
Well, you've got to get a good jump on it, and that's part of it for Billy Hamilton. You know he's got closing speed.
Great play by Billy Hamilton for the first out of the 9th inning. That'll bring up the shortstop, Charlie Culberson, who flied to left, was hit by a pitch, and then struck out. That's wide for a ball. Culberson facing Chapman for the first time. Wide 2-0. DJ LeMahieu on deck. Then the pitcher spot due up. Walt Weiss has already used his #1 pinch hitter, Brandon Barnes. Missing inside, 3-0. Right down Broadway for strike one. Michael McHenry in the on-deck circle. That's wide. And McHenry will be called on to pinch hit. So tying run reaches base. Culberson gets the free pass. Second time he's been on tonight. And here's the backup catcher, McHenry. Right now, Johnny Cueto stands to be the winning pitcher after a great night if Chapman can close the deal.
This guy can be dangerous for a fastball pitcher, even a guy that throws 100 miles an hour. Short swing. looking dead red all the time.
Josh Rutledge is on deck, and there's a ball one. So Pena will come over from first. Mesoraco will come out from behind the plate, and the message clear here via the translator as they try to get Chapman back under control and into the strike zone. Pep talk from Pena, Chris.
I wonder how much of that Mesoraco's getting. Well, Pena came in after Chapman went 2-0 to Culbertson. Came in and yelled something to him as he came right to the grass of the infield, then went back to his spot at first base. It's like having an assistant pitching coach on the mound when Cueto and Chapman are on the hill.
Chapman to the stretch, and they'll toss over to first. Hasn't done it much lately, Chris. We've seen him since he first came up. He has an outstanding move to first. And in key situations, he has picked runners off. Of late, he hasn't had very many runners over there.
You're right.
The 1-0. Foul back for a strike, 1-1. Henry is solid backup with the Pirates for a couple of years. The Reds saw a lot of him. In his career, he's 1 for 6 against Chapman. In fact, he's the only player on the Colorado Rocky roster that is eligible and has a hit against him. That's a breaking ball that drops in for a strike, and it's 1-2. To McHenry. Wide, and we're even at 2. Chapman, a couple of extra breaths trying to collect himself. Here's the 2-2 to the pinch hitter. Line drive caught, and that'll do it. What a way to end it. A line drive. Culberson has no chance to get back, and Pena gloves it for the final out of the inning on a line drive double play. Chappie leaves him happy in the oddest of ways. And the Reds and Johnny Cueto will get a W. No strikeout in this appearance, Chris, but he'll take the W.
Well, Brian Pena not coming off the bag very far at all. That ball found him. I mean, next thing you know, he comes off the bag. The ball's in his glove. He steps on the bag, and Johnny Cueto now leads the major leagues and wins with 15.
What a night for the Reds pitchers. First 15-game winner in Major League Baseball is number 47. Johnny be good on this night, and Aroldis Chapman gets some help from his big buddy, number 29, Brian Pena. The end result, the Reds, thanks to a 4-hit night from Kris Negron, come up with a 3-2 victory and a W here to end the losing streak and get a win on the road in Denver. Whole lot more to talk about. We'll be back with more coming up after this, and Red Live postgame comes your way.